Ghana, specifically traditional leaders, and I know my himfo, I'm watching all my Ghana share, and the my himfo, Cape Coast are himfo, Northern region are himfo, Ashanti region are himfo, Volta region are himfo. The Ghana traditional leaders, I'm calling on all traditional leaders across the country. Ahinie Biba, there is a kingdom coming, and if care is not taken, and we sit unconcerned for this kingdom to arrive as it's growing gradually, when care is not taken, a time is coming. Your various tools or your various kingdoms or your various traditional territories will become a thing of a past, will be disrespected, will not be given a damn, will be thrown into the dustbin. A time is coming. The future is pregnant. Watch this. Watch this. And let's get back into it.
Ghana, our beloved country, is currently moving towards the introduction of Sharia compliant banking. Pay attention, especially to those of you who still think like things are still the same as they used to be. It is not. Ghana is changing, and I'm afraid to announce to you that this change isn't necessarily for the better. Please pay attention to this. Ghana is currently moving towards the introduction of Sharia compliant banking system, which the Bank of Ghana officially has referred to it as a non-interest banking system. And hear this out, ladies and gentlemen, hear this out. Whenever you hear the word Sharia attached to anything, remember, whatever that thing is, it is coming with an Islamic ideology or a doctrine to it, ladies and gentlemen. The word Sharia is not an indigenous Ghanaian word from any of our tribal languages, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not a Western word either. It is purely an Islamic Arabic word that originates from the Quran. And if you aren't a Muslim, you should be particularly worried about it, because the same Sharia word is what is driving the entire West Africa into a place of war between believers and non-believers, if you have watched. So pay attention to what our president is doing and be on the alert. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, whether it is a Sharia banking system or a Sharia school system or a Sharia marriage system, it is simply a system attached to an Islamic religious ideology. And it should be of concern to you, especially you Christians. You in Ghana, Christians in Ghana. Now, Ghana is not merely considering this Sharia banking system anymore. We have passed that stage. Ghana is actually in the process of establishing the regulatory system needed for this Sharia banking system, disguised as a non-interest banking, to take off. Let me give you a few milestones of when this plan to introduce this system of banking in Ghana was started. Let me give you a few milestones. In 2016, 10 years ago, the Bank of Ghana introduced an act in its law. So the Bank of Ghana has what is called the Bank and Specialized Deposit Taking Institution Act. And this is the law that governs all Ghanaian banks and specialized deposit taking institutions. And in 2016, they introduced Act 930 in the law. The Act 930 recognizes non-interest banking in Ghanaian law, referring to banking services that operate without interest. Pay attention, without interest. So, this provision was started in 2016. And my question is, who was the president of Ghana in 2016? Can you remember? Let's jump 9 years forward, ladies and gentlemen. In 2025, the Bank of Ghana developed a detailed framework of banks that will be placed in this category. And I'm curious, who was the president of Ghana in 2025? I need your involvement in what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen. Next, in January of 2026, the Bank of Ghana moved toward licensing institutions. They literally started operationalizing the act. And my question again is, who is the president in 2026, if I may ask again? Then in April of 2026, the interested banks or companies began applying or preparing for applications. So on the 21st of May 2026, the Bank of Ghana's governor, Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama, confirmed that one indigenous bank had formally applied, while 4 others were preparing to apply, but the names were not provided. Then on 18th of August 2026, the Bank of Ghana inaugurated a body called NIFAC, which stands for Non-Interest Financial Advisory Council. It is a special advisory body established by the Bank of Ghana to oversee the technical and Sharia compliance aspect of Ghana's emerging non-interest banking sector. NIFAC. This is where the entire thing becomes tricky. Please focus. So the Bank of Ghana inaugurated an advisory body for this new banking system. And guess who the Bank of Ghana introduced as the chairman of the council? Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Non-Interest Financial Advisory Council of Ghana is called Professor Bashir Aliyu Umar. And guess where this Professor Umar comes from? Ladies and gentlemen, he is a Nigerian Islamic cleric, a Nigerian Islamic scholar, and an Islamic financial expert. A Nigerian Islamic scholar is the person President John Dramani Mahama appointed as the first chairman of such a controversial council like this. He appointed a man from a country where the same Sharia law has been the reason many Christians and even Muslims have died. A Christian sister by name Deborah Samuel Yakubu, if you remember, was brutally lynched and burned to death by a mob of radical Muslim students on May 12, 2022 in Sokoto, Nigeria, because she was accused of allegedly insulting the Islamic prophet Muhammad, and the punishment under the Sharia in Sokoto for such an act is killing, and they killed her without trial. Until this day, ladies and gentlemen, nothing whatsoever has been done to the students who perpetuated this crime. Ladies and gentlemen, the President John Mahama chose to appoint a man from Nigeria to be the first chairman of such a council in Ghana. You don't see anything going on? What happened to appointing Ghanaian Muslims into that position? What kind of qualification does this man from Nigeria have that couldn't be found among Ghanaian Muslims? By the way, are there still Christian pastors in Ghana? Are there still civil society groups in Ghana? Are people still observing how things are fast changing in this country and the agenda being introduced? Are you seeing it or not? Or still not clear? Ghana is flirting with fire, and I bet you a lot of Christian pastors don't have a clue what's going on. And those who do either are too small to be taken seriously, or the big ones have been so compromised they dare not utter a word. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's happening in our country. Everybody is sitting quietly and hopelessly, and some ignorantly, while this agenda is gradually but progressively being established in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the story doesn't end there. On 20th of August 2026, the Bank of Ghana engages an international financial organization called IIFM. This is the information I have so far. So the Bank of Ghana engages IIFM. Now, what's IIFM? It is the International Islamic Financial Market. It is a global standard setting organization for Islamic finance. Keyword, Islamic finance, headquartered in Bahrain in the Middle East. It was established in 2002 under a royal decree of Bahrain, and Ghana is now potentially activating the membership of the IIFM. Pay attention to these details. The founding members of this IIFM include the central banks and financial institutions from where? Bahrain, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sudan, and Brunei. And guess what is synonymous with all these countries? They are all Muslim majority countries. I have a question for you. What is Ghana, a secular Christian majority country, doing there in the midst of Muslim majority organization? Ladies and gentlemen, who is taking us there and for what purpose? Let me provide you with further details, ladies and gentlemen. Bahrain is a founding member. It's actually the leader of the IIFM. Bahrain's constitution makes it clear that Islam is the official religion of the state. Malaysia is a founding member. Their constitution states that Islam is the religion of the state. Brunei, also a founding member. It has Islam as the state's religion. At the time the IIFM was being founded, Sudan, which was also a founding member, had Islam as the official religion of the state until it was removed in 2019 when the regime fell. Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in a country around the world. My question, again, ladies and gentlemen, to Ghanaians is this. What is Ghana, a secular evangelical Christian majority country, doing in such a group? Who is dragging us there? And what is the purpose, ladies and gentlemen? Is that where money is leading our leaders now, ladies and gentlemen? So, with all the resources God has endowed us with, we couldn't make anything meaningful out of it for ourselves. And now our leaders are taking us into groups and associations that does not resonate with the religion of the majority of the people of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the only Christian majority country going there. Do you see what's going on or not? The minority religion in Ghana is currently dictating the pace to the majority. And many Ghanaians cannot see. Ghana, something is terribly wrong. Something strange is on the horizon. And it appears to be quickly coming together and not for good. The compromises in the system is beyond scary. I'm telling you, I weep for this country, and I hope I'm not the only one seeing it. Both political parties, NPP, NDC, are compromised. And I tell you this, that calls for a third force immediately. I want you to start warming up to the idea of a third force, because I promise you this, the time will come when that option of a third force will be the only way to save and protect the peace and the soul of this country, this great country. I'll say less for now. I'll see you in the next one. My name is Cyrus. This is Tuntum Network in Accra, Ghana. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Share this video until every eye in Ghana and beyond Ghana sees it. I'll see you in the next one. May the good Lord have mercy on us. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. It is bye-bye for now.
Before slavery, those who came to take our ancestors into slavery, they started by, oh, we are here just to trade with you. It's a mutual trading. By the time we realized we were in shackles, we were slaves. Second version of slavery is when the Chinese, who didn't partake in the first slavery, started giving our leaders loan. That is the second version of slavery. They started giving our leaders loan to the point that we can't pay the loan. We can't pay. For that matter, they have to come. Now they are in our country, destroying our resources, mining our gold, taking away the precious out of it, and then destroying our environment. Now the Chinese is here, taking over our industries, businesses, our markets. They are here. It's time for the Arabians to come part two, and they are here, and gradually, they are planting and nurturing their kingdom, and the time is coming. If traditional leaders, the custodians and our ancestors who fought for this land don't rise up and stand with these politicians, match them toe to toe, direct them, control them, let the people know that the politicians are selling this country, time is coming. We will have to run away. We will have no choice than to run away from here to seek for peace elsewhere. Whilst on our own land that our ancestors fought for us will be not our home anymore. I am a town crier. Save this video, share it. You will come back to it some years coming. If we don't rise up today to stop certain agendas that our politicians are being compromised with money. The time is coming. We have to run away. My name is Offer, the Nation's Uncle. I end it here. See you in my next episode. Share this video. Pay out.
Follow us on Facebook, Ofayal, the Nation's Uncle. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Nation's Uncle TV. Follow us on TikTok, The Nation's Uncle. The Nation's Uncle gives you the raw truth. Thanks for watching.